What would you do if the only person who could save you was the one who had been watching you all along? When a terrified waitress slips a desperate note to a quiet billionaire, she sets off a chain of events that unravels a secret world of power, lies, and redemption. In a single whisper, he changes her fate. But as their truths collide, one question remains. Was he her savior, or the reason she was hunted in the first place? If this story pulled you in, hit like, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more intense cinematic thrillers where every choice hides a secret. Don't blink. Each story takes you closer to the truth behind the mask. The restaurant was nearly empty, its crystal chandeliers dimmed to a sleepy amber glow. Midnight dinners at the Aurelia were for the kind of guests who liked silence with their luxury. Emily moved between the tables with practiced grace, the black apron hiding her trembling hands. The hum of soft jazz brushed through the air, but her nerves heard only the echo of her own heartbeat. She'd worked this shift for 6 months, long enough to know which guests tipped well and which ones liked to talk. Tonight, the man at table 9, Daniel Cross, was neither. He came in twice a week, always alone, always with a single glass of wine and his tablet open. Polite nod, faint smile, minimal words. His suit looked understated but expensive, the kind of quiet wealth that didn't need to announce itself. Emily avoided eye contact with the front windows. She didn't need to look. She already knew. He was out there again, her ex, Kyle. He'd found her, again. Her stomach turned cold. She caught a reflection in the glass of the wine cabinet, just enough to see the shape of him leaning against the streetlight. Same posture, same black jacket. She dropped her pen. It clattered against the tiles. Her manager's voice echoed from the bar, irritated. "Everything okay, Emily?" "Yeah," she said quickly, forcing a smile. "Just clumsy tonight." Her hand shook as she picked up the pen. She tried to focus on her next order. Daniel Cross was looking at her now, faintly curious. His eyes weren't unkind, but they held the sharp stillness of someone who noticed everything. Emily took his order, a rare steak, no sides, and a refill on the wine. The moment she turned toward the kitchen, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She didn't have to read the text. "I see you." The words hit like ice water. She tucked the phone away, forcing herself to breathe. She'd changed numbers, jobs, cities. He shouldn't have been able to find her. Yet, here he was, standing in the dark outside her new life, watching. She tried to keep moving, carrying plates and glasses, smiling at strangers whose biggest worry was overcooked pasta. When she came back to Daniel's table, she caught him looking again. Not in flirtation, but concern. "You're pale," he said quietly. "You all right?" "Yes, just long shift," her voice cracked, betraying her. He didn't press, but his eyes stayed on her longer than they should have. When she dropped the bill, her hand hovered over the receipt. Her mind raced. No one else could help. Kyle had charmed the police before, claimed she was unstable. She'd learned that no one believed a woman without bruises. The pen trembled in her fingers as she wrote it. 4 words, small and slanted. "Please help me." She slid the folded receipt onto his table, praying he'd notice before she lost her nerve. Then she walked away, heart hammering in her chest. 30 seconds passed. Then 1 minute. Nothing. Maybe he hadn't seen it. Maybe she'd just doomed herself for nothing. She turned back. Daniel's gaze was fixed on the note. His thumb traced the words once, slow, deliberate. Then he looked up at her. "Miss?" His voice was calm, smooth as the jazz in the background. She froze halfway to the counter. He didn't raise his hand, didn't wave her over, just spoke softly, eyes never leaving hers. "Don't turn around," he said. "Just keep talking." Her blood ran cold. She opened her mouth, forcing out the first thing she could think of. "Would you like dessert?" "Sure," he replied, still watching her face. "Whatever you recommend." He pulled his phone from his pocket under the table. The movement was so subtle she almost missed it. "Chocolate soufflé," she whispered. Perfect, he said. Then, just barely audible, someone's watching you, isn't he? She blinked fast, tears welling before she could stop them. Outside, by the lamppost, he nodded once. Good, don't look. Just bring the dessert. Slowly. His tone wasn't commanding. It was the kind that made you want to obey because it carried certainty, not force. She turned, pretending to walk toward the kitchen, hands trembling. When she came back, Daniel was still there, calm as ever. But something in the air had changed. The two men at the bar were gone. A dark SUV had pulled up outside, engine running. He took the soufflé from her hand and smiled faintly. Thank you, Emily. She hadn't told him her name. Go to the staff room, he said quietly. Lock the door. Don't open it until someone from security knocks twice. What? Who are you? She whispered. He looked down at his phone, finished the call, and stood. Just someone who doesn't like seeing fear on people's faces. By the time she stepped into the hallway, her knees were shaking so badly she could barely stand. Outside, tires screeched. Somewhere in the distance, a siren began to wail. She didn't turn around. Emily sat in the staff room, back pressed against the metal lockers, phone clutched in her hand. The muffled sounds from the restaurant had vanished. Just the ticking clock on the wall, her shallow breathing, and the hum of the old refrigerator. She tried to count her breaths, but her chest kept tightening. Every few seconds, her eyes darted to the door. 2 knocks. Pause. 2 more. Her heart skipped. She hesitated, voice trembling. Who is it? It's Marcus. Security. She cracked the door open. A tall man in a dark suit stood there, earpiece coiled behind his ear. His presence filled the narrow hallway, calm but imposing. He didn't smile. You're safe now, ma'am. Please stay here until we escort you out. What happened? She whispered. Mr. Cross took care of it. Those words landed heavy. When she finally stepped out, the restaurant looked different. The few guests were gone. The manager was pale, talking to a police officer near the entrance. Through the window, she saw 2 patrol cars flashing blue. The streetlight where Kyle had been leaning now stood empty. Her knees wobbled, relief and fear twisting together. Daniel was still at his table, finishing his wine as if nothing had happened. The quiet confidence of someone who knew exactly how much control he had. When she approached, he looked up. Everything's fine now, he said softly. Your friend won't bother you again tonight. She tried to speak, but words failed. How did you do that? He shrugged slightly. You'd be surprised what a few phone calls can fix. The officer walked past, pausing briefly. Mr. Cross, thank you for your cooperation. Daniel nodded politely. Always happy to assist. Emily's stomach twisted. The police thanked him, not questioned him. He wasn't just a customer. When the officers left, her manager suddenly turned all warmth and concern. Emily, take the rest of the night off, sweetheart. Paid leave. Don't worry about a thing. His voice shook with a nervous smile. That wasn't normal. The man who docked her pay last week for being 10 minutes late was now tripping over apologies. She looked back at Daniel, who was standing now, buttoning his jacket. He caught her eye. Walk with me for a moment. She followed him outside into the cool night air. The street was quiet again, save for the hum of distant traffic. A black SUV idled nearby, the same one she'd seen earlier. A woman stepped out from the passenger side, a striking figure in a gray coat, expression unreadable. Emily, Daniel said, this is Ava. The woman extended her hand, voice measured. I'm part of Mr. Cross's team. We've taken care of your situation for now. Your team? Emily echoed, uneasy. Daniel nodded. I work in private intelligence, cybersecurity, risk mitigation, that sort of thing. So you're what? A spy? She said, half joking, half serious. He smiled faintly. Not exactly. Let's say I help people stay invisible when the world won't let them be. She looked between them. You knew he was outside before I said anything, didn't you? I suspected, Daniel replied. You kept glancing at the same reflection. I just needed confirmation. Her throat tightened. Why would you even help me? You don't know me, Ava spoke first. He doesn't like unfinished stories. Daniel's gaze stayed on Emily, quiet but intense. You looked like someone who'd been running for too long. I recognized that look. They stood there in silence for a moment. The city felt far away, the world smaller. Your ex, Daniel continued, has been taken in for questioning. The police will file a report. You'll get a restraining order, temporary at first. Emily shook her head, panic flickering back. That won't stop him. It never does. That's why I'm giving you this. He reached into his coat and handed her a small black card. No name, just a number embossed in silver. If you ever need to disappear for good, he said, call this number. Someone will come for you within an hour. She turned the card over, frowning. Disappear? You mean leave everything? Daniel's tone was even. Sometimes starting over means burning what's left behind. Her breath caught. You talk like you've done it. His eyes flickered with something. Regret, maybe. More than once. Ava stepped closer. We should go. Daniel nodded, then looked at Emily one last time. Don't go back to your apartment tonight. Stay somewhere public, well lit. Trust your instincts. They've kept you alive so far. And with that, he walked to the SUV. The door closed, the engine hummed, and within seconds, they were gone. Emily stood on the sidewalk, the black card still warm in her hand. The streetlight buzzed overhead, flickering faintly. For the first time in months, the night felt quiet, but not safe. Something about the way Daniel had handled everything, how easily he'd moved the pieces, left her with a chilling thought. He hadn't just saved her. He'd known exactly where to find her. 3 weeks later, Emily thought she'd finally outrun her shadow. The small city of Havenbrook sat hours from anywhere that mattered. She'd found a modest job at a cafe by the river, kept her head down, paid cash whenever possible. Her apartment was small but quiet. Mornings smelled like coffee and rain. Instead of fear, she almost believed this was her second chance, until she noticed the car. It started with the same silver sedan parked across from her building 3 mornings in a row. Then a man in a brown jacket she saw twice, once at the grocery store, once near the bus stop. She told herself it was nothing. Coincidence. Just paranoia refusing to die. But when she left work one night and saw her front door slightly open, everything inside her froze. The lock was scratched, drawers rummaged, nothing missing, just touched, shifted, rearranged. A warning. Her phone trembled in her hand as she scrolled through her contacts. She stopped on the black card Daniel had given her, still saved under Do Not Use. She pressed the number. 1 ring. 2. Then, a woman's voice. Calm, precise. Emily, her breath hitched. How do you know it's me? We were expecting your call, the voice said. Stay where you are. We're coming. Within hours, she was being ushered through a private terminal under a false name. The jet was sleek, silent, windowed in gold dusk. A man in uniform handed her tea without a word. When the plane lifted, Emily looked down at Havenbrook disappearing beneath the clouds. Daniel was waiting at the other end. The compound looked nothing like a home. It was a fortress hidden in a forest clearing, high walls masked by trees, motion sensors glowing faintly in the dark. The air smelled of pine and ozone. He stood near the landing strip, dressed in the same understated suit, as if the past weeks hadn't existed. Emily, he said quietly, you did the right thing. I didn't want to call, she admitted. But someone's found me again. He nodded once, signaling to 2 guards. You're safe here. Inside, the compound felt like a mix of sanctuary and surveillance. Corridors lined with security monitors, offices filled with computers and muted voices, a medical wing, a safe house dressed as a business hub. This place, Emily murmured. What is it? Daniel led her through a glass-walled corridor. Ava runs operations from here. We protect people who expose things, trafficking, corruption, financial crimes, those who can't trust the system to keep them alive. So you hide them? We erase them, he said. Give them new names, new histories. Some start over abroad, some disappear completely. And me? You were supposed to be just another rescue, he said. But your ex isn't acting alone anymore. Someone's paying him to find you. Her pulse spiked. Why? I'm nobody. He stopped walking. You worked at Melvin Pharmaceuticals 3 years ago, correct? She frowned. Yes, as a lab assistant. I left after a fire destroyed the research wing, he finished. That fire wasn't an accident. The company's been under investigation for trafficking controlled substances through its subsidiaries. You saw something you weren't meant to see? Emily staggered back a step. I thought it was just lab waste mismanagement. They don't care what you thought. They care what you know. The realization hit like a punch. She hadn't just been unlucky. She'd been hunted. Daniel turned toward the glass, his reflection fractured by the lights. One of my team leaked your location. We've been compromised. Her voice shook. A mole? Here? He nodded grimly. Ava traced the first data breach to our network 2 days before you called. Whoever it is, they've been feeding information to someone connected to your ex. Emily's throat tightened. So they knew where I ran. Yes, Daniel said. And now they know where you are again. The air in the room thickened. Outside, floodlights swept across the courtyard, followed by the distant whir of drones. The compound didn't feel invincible anymore. What happens now? She whispered. We find them before they find you, he said. Ava entered, tablet in hand, her usual composure cracked. We've got movement at the perimeter. 2 unidentified vehicles. Cameras are blind in Sector 7. Daniel's expression darkened. Already? Ava nodded. They're good. Whoever's behind this knows our layout. Emily's heart pounded. My ex? Maybe, Daniel said. Or the people pulling his strings. He turned to her, voice steady but urgent. Emily, listen carefully. If anything happens, follow Ava. Don't stop. Don't look back. But I'll handle it. He was already moving, issuing orders into his comms, switching screens, locking down gates. The calm, quiet billionaire she'd met in a restaurant was gone. This was someone else. Decisive. Dangerous. A man used to command. Ava grabbed Emily's arm, leading her toward a hidden staircase. Alarms began to hum low in the walls, lights flickering red. As they descended into the dim tunnels beneath the compound, Emily glanced back at Daniel one last time through the glass wall above. He was on the phone, voice low but certain. Find the leak. No mercy this time. And in that moment, she realized something terrifying. Daniel wasn't just protecting people from monsters. He was one of them, just a different kind. The night cracked open with floodlights and gunfire. Emily ducked behind a marble pillar as the compound roared to life. Drones buzzed overhead, alarms wailed, and shadows moved in bursts of red and white light. Ava barked orders through her earpiece, her calm voice slicing through the chaos. Daniel stood near the control console, eyes sharp, movements precise. Sector 7 breached, Ava said. 2 SUVs, armored. They're inside the gate. Seal the tunnels, Daniel ordered. No one leaves without clearance. Emily's pulse raced. The walls that had felt safe now pressed in like a cage. You said this place was secure. It was, Daniel replied, until someone invited them in. Before she could answer, glass shattered across the hallway. A grenade clattered near the entrance. Flash, bang, white blindness. The next thing she saw was her ex, Kyle, dragging himself through the smoke, gun in hand, grinning like a man who'd already won. Miss me, Em, he sneered. Emily froze. How are you even alive? Money, Kyle said. Turns out people pay well to find you. And your boyfriend here made it real easy. He swung the gun toward Daniel. Smart man. Didn't think you'd sell her out so soon. Daniel didn't flinch. You're not leaving here with her, Kyle laughed. You think she still trusts you? Tell her, Cross. Tell her how you found her before she even wrote that little cry for help. Emily looked between them, confusion twisting into dread. What is he talking about? Daniel hesitated just a second too long. Kyle grinned wider. He's been watching you for months, sweetheart. You think billionaires eat alone at midnight because they like steak? He already knew who you were. Melvin Pharmaceuticals, lab assistant turned liability. He was investigating the same people who burned your life down. Emily's voice cracked. Is that true? Daniel's jaw tightened. Yes, but not like that. Then how? She demanded. You used me as bait? Not bait, Daniel said. A witness. His tone softened, but the truth burned anyway. The night I met you, I was tracking your ex. He was on our watch list. When you slipped me that note, I realized it wasn't coincidence. It was the moment we'd been waiting for. Emily felt the ground tilt beneath her. You let me think you just wanted to help. I did, he said quietly. And I still do, Kyle cocked the gun, impatient. Touching reunion, really. But my clients want proof she's dead, so the bullet never came. Ava appeared from the shadows, single shot to Kyle's arm. He dropped the gun, screaming, clutching the wound. Don't, she warned, leveling her weapon. You're worth more alive. Daniel stepped forward, unarmed. Who's paying you, Kyle? Kyle spat blood. You already know. Same people funding your precious tech firm. You've been their cleanup crew without even realizing it. Ava's expression flickered. That can't be right. Daniel's phone buzzed on the table. He tapped the screen and a video feed appeared. Documents, offshore accounts, government names. His face went pale. It's true, he muttered. They've been laundering data through our own security networks. Every rescue we've done, they've been watching. Emily's breath caught. So this whole thing, me, the compound, everything, it's all part of the same corruption? Daniel nodded slowly. Until tonight, he turned to Ava. Send everything. Every file, every name, every dollar trail. Public leak. No encryption. Daniel, Ava said, alarmed. That'll destroy us. He looked at Emily. Good. Within minutes, screens across the control room lit up. News feeds, journalists, social media alerts. The data went global. Executives, politicians, and brokers, all exposed in real time. Daniel exhaled once, steady. It's over. Kyle was dragged away by security, cursing and bleeding. The compound went quiet again. Emily sat on the steps, shaking. You lied to me, she whispered. Daniel knelt beside her. I did, but not about what mattered. I promised you'd be safe. She met his eyes, tired but resolute. And what happens now? He smiled faintly. You start over. For real this time. Months later, Emily stood before a small group of survivors in a bright new office. Her own foundation. The Artemis Trust, built for victims who needed what she once begged for, a way out. The funding came anonymously, through offshore accounts traced to no one. But she knew. She'd seen the quiet donation marked only with the initials DC. She never saw Daniel again. He'd vanished from the news, his company dismantled, his name erased. Some said he'd fled the country. Others said he'd been silenced. Emily believed neither. Somewhere out there, he was still watching, still helping from the shadows. And when she looked out her office window at dusk, she swore she could almost hear his voice again. Sometimes, he'd said, a whisper can be louder than a scream.